Is in full swing. Commuters and shoppers stream through King's Cross, the city's busiest underground station. Suddenly, a deadly wall of flame roars through the packed station. It kills 31 people. The world's oldest subway system suffers the deadliest fire in its history. Now, using advanced computer simulations, we reveal exactly what caused the tragedy. Disasters don't just happen. They're triggered by a chain of critical events. Unravel the clues and count down those final seconds from disaster. Europe, England, London. King's Cross Station, Britain's busiest rail hub. It connects above-ground trains from the north with the city's 260 miles of subway network, affectionately known to Londoners as the Tube. 5 tube lines serve 8 platforms at King's Cross. The deepest is 80 feet underground. 250,000 passengers surge through the station's labyrinth of passages every day. Wednesday, November 18th, 1987, 7:18 p.m. It's rush hour, and the city center is busy during the Christmas shopping season. For one man, the buzz and bustle of London is a new experience. Damon Brodie left his home in Scotland just 5 days ago to start a new computer programming job and a new life in the big city.
I always wanted to live in London. I mean, for somebody at 20 years old, it was a dream come true.
Brodie is eager to soak up London's sights. Tonight, he's off to see the famous Christmas lights on Regent Street, a trip that will take him on the Tube. But Londoners know that Christmas in the capital isn't all peace and goodwill. In 1983, the Irish Republican Army bombed Harrods department store. The blast, 8 days before Christmas, killed 6 people. Now, intelligence experts fear that the IRA may once again target London. But nobody knows where the terrorists might strike. (7:25 p.m.) At King's Cross, 80 feet underground, passengers stream off tube trains and onto escalators, taking them to the ticket hall and the streets of London. On the Piccadilly line escalator, several commuters spot a man in a blue boiler suit descending into a nearby manhole. Workmen are a familiar sight on the wooden escalators of the dilapidated tube system. 2 minutes later, electronics engineer Philip Squire joins the escalator going up. He heads toward the street, obeying tube etiquette by standing on the right.
As I was standing there, I was just looking around as you do, and I happened to look down.
He sees something strange. A light beneath the wooden steps.
I could see this very bright glow, very intense.
When he reaches the top, he finds a London underground worker, and they look halfway down the escalator to where Squire saw the glow. But there's no sign of it.
I felt a bit silly because you couldn't see anything. So to be honest, I felt stupid.
Philip Squire goes on his way, embarrassed to have caused concern. (7:30 p.m.) A couple minutes later, a man hits the emergency stop button on the Piccadilly line escalator. A British transport policeman on routine patrol investigates. He sees a small flame on one of the wooden steps. It's not a huge surprise. Fires are a fact of life on the aging infrastructure of the tube. There have been over 400 in the previous 3 decades. The policeman heads back to the ticket hall to call the London Fire Department on his radio. Down below, staff follows routine procedures, taping off the Piccadilly line escalator to divert passengers away from the tiny fire. 7:39. 9 minutes after the fire alert, police evacuate the station as a precaution. 2 miles away, in the city's Soho district, firefighters respond to the call and head for King's Cross. Soho is the busiest fire station in London. Many of the men have fought hundreds of blazes. 7:43. Firefighters arrive in the King's Cross ticket hall. The ranking officer is Fire Chief Colin Townsley. Townsley has served 23 years in the London Fire Brigade. He dreams of retiring early and buying property in France. He's also a dedicated leader who commands respect and loyalty from his men. One of them is Robert Moulton, who has served with a man he calls the Governor for 4 years. Townsley and Moulton assess the state of the fire. The blaze is now about the size of a campfire, but neither man is worried.
We didn't think it was particularly bad. Didn't look much of a fire.
50 feet below, British Transport Police continue to clear hundreds of passengers from the station. One of the police officers is Richard Kukielka. After 5 years on the job, evacuation procedures are second nature.
It was just a matter of getting the people that were within the station out of the station.
Kukielka directs passengers onto the Victoria Line escalator, the only one still operating. It runs parallel to the Piccadilly Line escalator and emerges in the same place, the main ticket hall, just below street level. Heading up to the ticket hall with the throng is London newcomer Damon Brodie. He was on his way to see the Christmas lights, but his trip has been cut short.
Well, there was no panic, there was no rushing, there was no rush, it was just normal.
7:44 p.m. The fire has been burning on the wooden steps for almost 15 minutes, and the flames are now about 5 feet high. The blaze is 65 feet from police officer Kukielka at the bottom of the Victoria Line escalator. Fire Chief Colin Townsley is in the ticket hall. Sightseer Damon Brodie is traveling up the adjacent Victoria Line escalator. Brodie reaches the top of the escalator and steps into the ticket hall. Moments later, a huge fire erupts.
It was like an explosion happening in slow motion.
Damon Brodie takes a full hit. The flame ignites his legs and lower body.
My life sort of ended at that point.
Seconds from disaster will return in a moment.
You don't have to make food taste good. Nature does that for us. With all kinds of flavors, textures, and colors, just there for the taking. My job at Kashi is to find the best tasting natural ingredients and just not mess them up. I'm stuck again. When food comes from nature, you can really taste it. Do I get to eat the whole thing? No, sure.
Kashi, 7 whole grains on a mission.
Last Thanksgiving, about 2 million people tried to deep fat fry their turkey. 15 succeeded in setting their houses on fire. At Christmas, there was a lot of driving over the river and through the woods and a little bit of skiing.
And now back to seconds from disaster. In London's King's Cross Station, a small blaze erupts into a ferocious inferno, spewing fire like a flamethrower and engulfing dozens of commuters. One of them is sightseer Damon Brody.
I knew that particularly the back of me was on fire quite badly and around my legs area.
Thick black smoke pours out of the station exits into the street above. Firefighter Robert Moulton gets a hose ready to deal with what was, just minutes before, a tiny escalator fire.
There was a terrific roar. I heard this horrible scream that seemed to go on for ages.
The ticket hall was just full of people. Among them, his boss, Fire Chief Colin Townsley. News crews capture this scene as Moulton and his fellow firefighters grab oxygen sets and descend into the burning ticket hall to search for survivors.
Our only thought was just to try and fight our way down there, get to the fire and see if we can drag anyone out.
Caught in the inferno, Damon Brody rolls over and over, trying to put out the flames. Eventually, he succeeds. He's badly burned, and now he faces a new danger, dense, choking smoke.
It was absolutely red hot, and I could feel it burning my throat and lungs.
Moments after the fire erupted, from the bottom of the Victoria Line escalator, police officer Richard Kukielka sees a chilling sight.
When I looked up the escalators, all I could see was darkness.
When he sent passengers up the escalator, he unwittingly sent many of them straight into an inferno. But the blazing ticket hall is the only way out to the streets. Thinking fast, police and station staff flag down passing trains to get the stranded passengers out of danger. Meanwhile, firefighter Robert Moulton battles through the ticket hall, searching for survivors. His boss, Colin Townsley, is among them, but the fire is ferocious.
It was tremendously hot, searingly hot. You couldn't believe it.
Then, as he shines his flashlight through the smoke, he sees something. A white helmet. White helmets are only worn by fire chiefs.
Put my face mask right up against the helmet and shone me torch on it, and I could see it was white, and I just knew it was Colin.
Townsley's not moving. And even if he is alive, Moulton knows his boss's lungs will be full of toxic smoke. He rushes to get him into open air. Deep underground, police officer Kukielka thinks he's gotten everyone out, but then he hears a shout. A colleague has found a passenger slumped at the bottom of the escalators.
His hair was burnt, and his head was burnt, and his hands were badly burnt. He was in a lot of pain. He was screaming and shouting, and he was in a lot of pain.
The man needs urgent medical attention, but he's too badly burned to evacuate by train. Kukielka fears they're trapped. Then he remembers that there is another way out. They drag the man to some iron gates leading to the exit. But when they reach them, they discover that someone has locked them.
Open the gates! Hello!
The only decision we could make then was to actually try and kick the iron gates down.
Hello?
Kukielka yanks frantically on the gates, but they won't budge. And he can't radio for help because his walkie-talkie doesn't work underground. Fumes from the raging fire above are starting to spread throughout the station.
Our eyes were hurting and our chests were hurting and we couldn't breathe properly.
Up in the blazing ticket hall, Moulton is dragging Chief Townsley out of the Inferno. And just yards away, sightseer Damon Brody is fighting for his life. His lungs are screaming, and all he wants to do is sleep.
I thought, no, I'll just go to sleep now, and hopefully when I wake up, everything will be over.
Dozens of people in the blazing ticket hall are succumbing to deadly toxic fumes. And in the streets above, news crews capture this chilling scene. Firefighters staggering out, beaten back by the intense heat and flames. Any hope of saving the people trapped just 15 feet below is quickly disappearing. Stay tuned for more Seconds from Disaster.
Maybe it's the way they move, their lidless eyes, flickering tongue, or their fangs that deliver venom that can kill a man in an hour. Whatever the reason they are feared, man's relentless assault on them may be triggering an evolutionary change, altering their defense mechanisms so they're harder to hunt. Because a rattlesnake that doesn't rattle means no warning when you get too close. Explore Ultimate Viper premieres tomorrow at 8 on Nat Geo.
His first days will stay with you forever, but what will stay with him forever is his first smile. His V-Smile Baby, the first interactive development system designed to get your child's mind running even before he can walk. V-Smile Baby uses shapes, colors, and sounds to engage your child in learning adventures that grow as he grows. He'll not only connect what he does to what he sees, you'll connect with each other too. And that will put a smile on both your faces for years to come. Turn playtime into brain time. V-Smile Baby from VTech.
Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart.
Smart Balance Buttery Spread helps improve your cholesterol ratio, and its great buttery taste won the Chef's Best Award. Naturally trans fat free, an excellent source of ALA omega-3s, it's part of the Smart Balance food plan. It's all about balance.
Put a little love in your heart.
My allergies make it hard to work, but I can't take an allergy medicine that puts my head in a fog. That's why I'm cleared and clear out here and in here too. Whether it's dust, mold, or Sam here, Claritin relieves all my worst indoor allergy symptoms for 24 hours.
We now return to Seconds from Disaster. 7:52 p.m. Just 7 minutes ago, a fire engulfed London's King's Cross station, trapping commuters below ground. In the streets above the station, it's complete chaos. Firefighter Robert Moulton gives his boss, Colin Townsley, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to get oxygen into his lungs.
The very first time I blew breath into him, he sort of coughed. So I said, "This looks good," and we, really set to it.
Encouraged by the signs of life, Moulton doubles his efforts. Then paramedics rush his boss to the hospital. 50 feet underground, in one of the station's many passages, policeman Richard Kukielka is trying to get an injured passenger to safety before the fire reaches underground. But he's trapped behind a locked gate, and the gate won't budge. Then, a maintenance man appears on the other side, who has no clue that an inferno is raging above. But now he proves a lifesaver. He has a key to the exit. 32 minutes after the fire erupts, Kukielka rushes the wounded man out of the station to safety. up in the blazing ticket hall, several yards from the escalator. The last of Damon Brody's strength is slipping away. Then, the 20-year-old is gripped by a sense of injustice.
I don't think this is right. I don't mind dying again in a week. I don't mind it happening in any other way, but I just don't want it to be here and now.
Summoning his last ounce of strength, he crawls blindly through the smoke, searching for some way out. The ground is fiercely hot, making it an agonizing crawl. Then, through the smoke, Brody sees a stairway. He struggles upward, inch by inch. Suddenly, a hand is reaching toward him. A stranger bends down and hauls Brody up the stairs, out of the nightmare, and into safety.
When I got up to the top of the stairs, it was amazing.
At King's Cross, firefighters have controlled the blaze enough to venture below. But in the wrecked ticket hall, all they recover are dead bodies. Then, Robert Moulton and his fellow firefighters hear more terrible news. Their boss, Fire Chief Colin Townsley, has died at the hospital of smoke inhalation.
Obviously, we're all very shocked and sorry, and it was a bit numbing, really.
At 1:46 the next morning, the fire is finally contained. The Inferno kills 31 people and seriously injures another 20. The tragedy horrifies the nation. Royalty and the British public come together in grief. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher visits the site and is shocked by the devastation. But the causes of the disaster are a complete mystery. More than 2 million people use London's tube system every day. If the Prime Minister shuts it down, London would grind to a halt. Thatcher sets up an inquiry to find answers. What triggered the blaze? And what transformed a minor fire into a deadly inferno in seconds? Now, by rewinding the events of that fateful day, and by going deep into the investigation, we can reveal what really happened in the King's Cross Inferno. Advanced computer simulation will take us where no camera can, into the heart of the disaster zone. The government appoints an investigation team of 21 experts from 5 different agencies. Engineer David Shillito is one of the lead investigators. Shillito has been an expert in major fire disasters for more than 30 years. In the burned-out shell of King's Cross, Shillito looks for clues to the spread of the fire.
The burning patterns were fundamentally important. It was the shapes of the burning on the escalator, the way the smoke had blackened the underground structures. It was a sudden bursting forth of a major fire.
Within hours, police officers track down anyone who might have witnessed the blaze. They interview hundreds of people. Several describe how a jet of flame shot up the escalator and into the ticket hall like a flamethrower. The sheer explosive force of the Inferno suggests a disturbing possibility. A terrorist attack. The IRA has bombed Londoners before. Is this the start of a new chapter in its terror campaign, targeting travelers on London's tube? The investigation team calls in David Halliday, a forensic scientist who specializes in suspicious blazes. In the sealed-off station, technicians examine the wreckage of the burned-out escalator for clues. Halfway down, they find the classic pattern of scorching that indicates the fire's origin point. It's underneath the escalator, close to the running track. But they can't find a bomb crater here or anywhere on the escalator. And the metalwork isn't shattered, a telltale sign of an explosion.
All of the steelwork and the structure of the escalator was in fact generally intact. Where it had distorted, it was clear that it had distorted because of heat, not as an explosion.
The investigation team rules out a bomb as the origin of the King's Cross fire. But they're still suspicious. The speed of the fire spread could be explained by another criminal act: arson. A man in a blue boiler suit was spotted by 3 eyewitnesses. Could he be an arsonist, a former tube worker with a grudge? Now, Halliday is on the hunt for traces of an accelerant like gasoline, the calling card of an arsonist. They examine the area around the fire's origin point, but there's no hint of the odor that an accelerant invariably leaves. And Halliday can see that the fire started in an inaccessible spot.
It would be quite difficult to apply a flame while the escalator wheels were moving past the trackway.
The man in the blue boiler suit remains an unsolved mystery. It's clearly a case of mistaken identity. 2 days after the blaze, the investigation team declares the arson theory a dead end.
Investigators still don't know what caused the fire, but today they did rule out the possibility of arson. What no one can fully understand yet is the speed with which a small fire turned into an intense fireball.
If this was an accidental fire, it's even harder to explain how it suddenly turned into a freakish jet of flame. And investigators still have to establish how it started. With nothing else to go on, they probe the unburned area under the escalator for clues. Here they make a disturbing find. The wooden skirting boards all along the 137-foot escalator are pocked with scorch marks. And not just 1 or 2, 18 of them.
I concluded there were actually evidence of old fires on the escalator.
Something is triggering numerous small fires on the escalator, and one of them